Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. That StreamYard music, it still just doesn't hit. It doesn't hit like the old music. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to change it back. Just doesn't hit the same. Old music is better. All right. We got a lot to talk about. We got NFL news coming fast and furious. We've got a bunch of college basketball conference tournaments to discuss. We need to hit some winners here in some of these tournaments. So I have FanDuel pulled up. We're going to look through the odds for these conference tournaments, but we're going to talk NFL too. I feel like I am going crazy or something. The way that people react to some of this NFL news, it doesn't make any sense to me. I know that we all watch football, so I don't understand what these people I don't know what they watch. I don't like I see people like I've seen the common reaction I've seen to this Daniel Jones. So if you missed it, Daniel Jones just signed with the Indianapolis Colts 1 year. I think he can go up to like 17 million. You know, I've seen every single reaction to this I've seen is people making fun of the Colts. Like, how is that a bad signing? I don't understand. What is bad about that? The Colts have no quarterback. Am I mistaken? I love Anthony Richardson for fantasy football. He's objectively a terrible NFL quarterback and has done nothing in the league in 2 seasons other than get hurt, take himself out of plays because he's fat, and somehow he's fast and fat at the same time, which I don't even know, that like defies physics, but he's done it. So what has he done to warrant that he should be the starting quarterback next year? Am I like going crazy here? Daniel Jones took the Giants to the playoffs 2 years ago and has been on a terrible team his entire time that he's ever got to play in games. Like, the Colts have an actual offensive line and offensive structure. Why could Daniel Jones not be an average quarterback there? I'm very confused why people are like making fun of the Colts. Like, to act like Anthony Richardson is better than Daniel Jones is just, it's funny. Like, there's no way you could watch football and think Anthony Richardson has done anything to prove that he's anything other than like a bottom 6 quarterback in the NFL. He's certainly never taken a team to the playoffs like Daniel Jones did. So I have no idea why people are laughing at the Colts for signing Daniel Jones to a 1-year prove-it deal. I think that's a good signing. So I guess I'm on the opposite side of that one. I saw the report that it looks like J.J. McCarthy is going to be the Vikings starter. Like, obviously, I don't understand why there was still people thinking he's not. I will say this very bluntly. J.J. McCarthy would be the number 1 overall pick in this draft about to happen. That is a fact of the matter. So we've never seen him on the field, but that's another thing I don't understand why people think J.J. McCarthy is not good at football. The narrative that he was like carried, I mean, he was carried in college, but it wasn't because of him. It was because he was on that good of a team. To act like J.J. McCarthy can't make big-time NFL throws, I think is just completely inaccurate, and I think he is going to be good. I hope he proves people wrong. So, again, J.J. McCarthy would be the number 1 overall draft pick in the entire 2025 NFL draft. He was like the 4th quarterback off the board last year. He would be the first player off the board this year. So I don't know why people thought that the Vikings, I guess, like, if you were concerned about him coming back from the injury, maybe. Best and worst move, Guru? That's a good question. Best and worst move. There's like some smaller stuff, like defensive players and stuff that I would think, are like good or bad moves. Best move is tough. Best move is tough. I need to think about that. Going through some of the stuff that happened yesterday, I think Chargers bringing in Najee Harris is very interesting. Oh, yeah, you literally typed that as I said it, Guru. I think that's a great signing for them. It kind of fits their MO. They did it last year, bringing in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins had kind of like a renaissance year. I think Najee Harris can have just a monster season on the Chargers. So I like that for sure. Bringing him in for cheap, I think that's a great move. That's at the top of my list for best moves so far. I like Seattle. I like Seattle getting Sam Darnold for, I mean, pretty affordable, right? 3 years, 100 million. Is that, am I right? That's what it was. So we're looking at like 33, 34. Did Geno, okay, am I like mistaken? Hold on, let's take a look here. I'm not as high on Geno Smith as everyone else is. This goes along with people laughing at Daniel Jones. Like, Geno Smith got traded the other night, and you would have thought that the Bengals just traded Joe Burrow the way people were acting. Like, is Geno Smith that good? First of all, he's like 100 years old. So I don't like excuse the Seahawks for not wanting to pay a 100-year-old quarterback $45 million a year that it sounds like he's going to get. He hasn't got a new deal yet, but I saw that report that he was going to get like $45 million a year unless he signs like this short thing. I don't know, but he's 35 years old. And have the Seahawks been that good the last few years? Not really. So I'm interested in what they're doing. I'm higher on Seattle than pretty much everyone else. I like what they're doing. I think they have a great coaching staff. People are forgetting they have a great head coach and a very smart defensive head coach. And they have a great offensive coordinator in Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak was kind of with Sam Darnold prior, so they kind of have some continuity there. But Seattle was very good down the stretch of last season. And, the way that they're kind of building their offense this year, I think they're going to be like sneaky good. I don't know why people are like laughing at them. I don't know. Like, laughing at someone for not giving 35-year-old Geno Smith a massive contract is like, I don't understand it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've been on the opposite side of like the public opinion of all of these NFL moves. I don't think he could start somewhere, Guru, but I would love to have him as a backup on my team. I would love to have Sam Howell as a backup. I liked the Eagles re-signing Zach Bond. Obviously, they lost some other guys, Milton Williams, Sweat, which is unfortunate, but they're kind of awarded the opportunity to lose those guys. But Zach Bond is a big reason. Not saying Milton Williams and Josh Sweat aren't a reason why they won the Super Bowl, but Zach Bond was clearly a big hit for them, so that was good to re-sign him. Chris Godwin took a pretty big discount to return to Tampa, which I thought was interesting. I definitely thought he could have got more money elsewhere, but he clearly likes it in Tampa. So I can respect him, taking the hometown discount and staying there. Obviously Justin Fields to the Jets. I thought that was a good move, getting him for $20 million a year as opposed to some of these other guys getting big contracts, reuniting him with Garrett Wilson. And we'll kind of see how that plays out. I don't know if the Jets are going to be very good, but I like seeing Justin Fields. As an Ohio State fan, I like seeing Justin Fields reunited with Garrett Wilson, and I'm excited to see, how that plays out. Chase Young got overpaid. I agree with that, Guru. I don't really know what the Saints are doing at this point. We talk about that all the time on here. They're kind of like the Saints are the laughing stock of this stream, I would say. But yeah, I'm sure there's some other stuff I'm missing. So if there's specific situations you guys want commented on, you can ask me. I mean, the Vikings are kind of just like loading up on guys. I'm not a big fan of all the moves they've made, but they're in a great position to stack their team while JJ's on a rookie deal and stuff. So I'm excited kind of for them this season. I think they're gonna be a fun team. And like I said, I'm higher on JJ, I guess, than everyone else because people seem to be pretty down on him overall. Garoppolo re-signed to the Rams. Nothing crazy there. Trying to look at the quarterbacks. Zach Wilson, backup deal with the Dolphins. Nothing crazy there. Josh Dobbs backup in New England. New England, I thought was interesting. Like, they have all this cap space, but they didn't make a big splash move for a receiver. Like, the report came out a few weeks ago that they weren't going to be in on T. Higgins. Obviously I don't know what the Bengals are doing with T. Higgins, but they weren't going to be in on him. They didn't really make a play on DK Metcalf, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but they're starved for receivers. So I thought that was interesting, not making a play for a big receiver, but we'll see what they do, I guess, in the draft and all that stuff. But yeah. All right. So we're going to talk, like I said, if there's other stuff that I missed, just ask. We're going to talk college basketball tournaments today. I'm going to take some futures. Well, I've already taken them, but we're going to talk about them in some of these conference tournaments. Updating the national championship picture here. You guys know I have Houston. I have a future on them. I have Texas Tech, future on them. And I am going to be adding, I've told you guys for weeks, where do Wilson and Rodgers land? Wilson, I have no idea. Aaron Rodgers is going to go to Pittsburgh, I'm pretty sure. And I've said that for a while. Before that was even talked about, you guys might remember, I said this from the jump because this is what Pittsburgh does, that you'll get these veteran quarterbacks. So I'm pretty confident Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson probably, I guess, like Tennessee. I don't know. Like, where else could he go at this point? He's kind of out of options unless he just goes to like the Giants or something, but it sounded like he was a little bit out of the Giants' price range, I guess. So I don't know. I've told you guys for weeks I thought Houston was going to the national title. I have like this weird gut feeling on a national title winner, and I might be pivoting. We got to see how the bracket plays out. My main bracket might not have Houston winning it all. I feel like a fraud because I've been talking about this for 2 weeks, but I have a gut feeling about a team. And this is the most unbiased thing I could ever say to you because historically, when I say historically, I mean the last 2 to 3 seasons, I have faded this team in March to just no end. And this team went on a deep run last year, and I faded them every single game. I did not respect them. But this year, I respect them, and I have this just weird gut feeling that they're going to win the national title. It is not Duke, Keaton, so I'll break down why it's not Duke. I think Duke is top to bottom the best team. It's not even close. Like, roster-wise, they are the number 1 team. The problem with Duke is, and if you guys have watched me for a while, you know how I handle this. I'm going to play my bracket groups exactly like I play a DFS contest. And Duke is going to be, in my opinion, massively, massively picked to win the national championship in these bracket pools, especially if you're playing in a smaller pool with your friends, at your office or at your work, 100 people or less. I think Duke might be close to like a 50%. I haven't seen any projections on that. This is just me guessing because it's the perfect storm of a very popular team, a very popular player, Cooper Flagg, and they've looked absolutely untouchable. Like, coming into this, we'll see what they do in the ACC tournament, but I mean, coming into now, they had like a 5-game stretch where they won by 30. They just beat North Carolina again on Saturday night. Like, I think in a small type pool, we could push 50, 60% of people picking Duke to win it. And if you play brackets like me, they don't have, like, in actuality, they don't have a 50% chance to win, right? So I can't justify picking them to win a bracket pool when they're going to be way overpicked. So we're going to have to fade Duke, unfortunately. If you play in like a multi-entry bracket pool, you can make a bracket with Duke. But my main bracket that I put in all my big pools, I'm just not going to be picking Duke. I'm telling you this right now before I've even seen the bracket. There's no chance I pick Duke because I can't justify it. I will feel like the biggest loser. And if they beat me, then they beat me. Last year, that was the case with UConn, right? They were massively picked. I lost. It is what it is. But that's how I play. So the team that man, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I faded this team every single game last year in the tournament. It's the Alabama Crimson Tide. Oh my God. I know they've lost. I know they just lost to Auburn. They lost to Tennessee. I know. But hear me out, man. This team, I don't know. There's something about this team. So they fit all any metric you'll look at, you'll start seeing these like tweets and videos pop up once the bracket comes out. But we have these like metrics for the last 25 winners or whatever. They've all fit into this, which is I think it's top. What is it? Let me see if I can find it. First of all, like they have to have they don't have a first year coach. They're not on the West Coast. They're top 12 in the week 6 AP poll, which is like the weirdest one to me. I don't understand that one, but for some reason that has been a point. But for KenPom, there's like specific metrics that people will cite, and they'll be like that I think it's like top 57 in offense, top 37 in defense, but really most of the teams, I think it was like one team that wasn't top 57 in offense. So it's like top 21 in offense, top 37 in defense on KenPom, right? Alabama is 4th overall in offense, and they're 31st on defense, right? So they fit into that metric. They went on a deep run last year, so they have some experience. I just love their team. And if we look at last year, coming at like where last year finished, they went on this run last year, right? 5th overall in offense, so that's on par with what they are this year. They're actually one spot better. They're 4th this year. They were 5th last year. Last year they were 111th in defense, right? And now they're 31st. So the same case that I made for you guys, that Houston has never been able to score, like they would go on these scoring droughts in years past, but now they're randomly the 5th top 5 3-point shooting team. They've never been inside the top 140 in 3-point shooting the last 4 years where they've been good. And then this year they're top 5 overall. That's the difference between losing a close one possession game late in the tournament and winning. That same case can be made for Alabama on the flip side, to where they've never been this good defensively, and now they're so much marginally better on defense that same case can be made. That's the difference between winning and losing a close game. And I know like they still give up. People were like, I don't know. I don't understand what these people are talking about. I see them saying like Alabama can't have that good of a defense. Look at how many points they give up. Like, do you understand how math works? Like, yeah, they give up a lot of points because they play faster than any team. They play extremely fast, right? They're 1st overall in tempo. Adjusted tempo on KenPom. Alabama, number 1 in the country. So, yeah, you're going to, like, the amount of points you give up is correlated to how many possessions are in your game. So if you have more possessions than any other team, you're going to give up more points because there's more opportunities to score. That doesn't have any correlation to how good your defense is. I don't understand people. I've seen a couple people say, how can Alabama be that high on KenPom defense? They give up, 80, 90 points. Like, yeah, because they play fast. I don't understand. I don't know if people don't understand math, but regardless, Alabama, I'm betting to win the national title at 11-1. So it looks like I don't think I'm going to add anyone else right now. So going into brackets, I'm going to have Houston, Alabama, and Texas Tech. Those are going to be my 3 outright champion bets. And then the final 4, we have St. John's, We got them at way better numbers. I think I got them at like 15 or 16 to 1 earlier this season. And then we just hit them again at plus 650 or plus 750 a couple weeks ago. So we have St. John's. I have Michigan State from earlier in the season, Texas Tech, and Maryland. Those are my final 4 bets that I've taken. And then championship, if you guys want to sweat along, you can still get, I'm still good with all these numbers. I'm good with Houston at 850. I'm good with Alabama at 11 to 1. And I'm good with Texas Tech. You can get 35 to 1 on Texas Tech on DraftKings, so take it there. But those are my champion picks. And that's what I'm going to be rocking going into the tournament. Now, I might add some more stuff when the bracket comes out, like to win each region or something. But for right now, those are my futures, and probably I don't see myself adding any more until we get the brackets. All right, let's go through conference tournaments now. I like North Texas. You guys know I've bet on them a couple times recently. I like them to win this tournament. I'm not going to bet them at plus 240. But I like them. They're a bid steal like this. The AAC is ripe for a bid stealer, and I could definitely see Memphis losing. Even though I think Memphis is good, I could see them losing to one of these teams. I like North Texas, but I'm not going to bet them. If I were going to pick someone, though, it would be them. ACC, I'm not messing with Duke. I mean, they're just massive favorites here. Minus 330 to win your conference tournament's insane. I'm not going to mess with them. If I was going to take any other team, it would be Clemson probably. But I'm not taking any action on this tournament. I don't want to mess with Duke. I'm going to already be fading them in the regular tournament, so that I'm not even double downing on that. Going to double down on that, just pass. AEC, I don't really care about this. It's like the Ivy League, like it's just 4 teams. Vermont has like a history of winning this, and they play good in this tournament all the time, even though they've had a little bit of a weird year. I'd probably default to them, but yeah, I don't really like to bet on those 4 team ones. The A10 I do like, and I like St. Joe's at 8 to 1. So this team is pretty good. All these teams are pretty close, I would say. VCU should not be minus 115 in my opinion. Like if there's any top seed that is ripe for an upset in one of these conference tournaments, I think it's VCU. I don't trust them whatsoever. I think there's value on any of these next teams, literally any of them. Dayton, George Mason, St. Joe's, St. Louis, Loyola Chicago, George Washington, St. Bonaventure, down to St. Bonaventure. I'm good with any of these teams, and you're getting 4 to 1 or better on every single one of them. I don't trust VCU whatsoever. So I like St. Joe's as my personal pick. That's who I'm going to be betting. I'm going to play that for a quarter unit to win 2 units. So that's the first play for me here of all these. A10, St. Joe's. But if you don't like St. Joe's, if you like George Mason, or if you like George Washington or St. Bonaventure with Woj down there, I don't really care. VCU, I don't think is going to win this tournament, and I can't believe they're minus 115. So I'm fine taking anyone else other than them. Big East is fun. Big East is my favorite conference tournament every year because growing up, you know, I loved Kemba Walker when I was in high school. Like that was my favorite college player, and him kind of like going on the Big East run when he was at UConn and stuff. Like the Big East tournament just has the best vibes, right? Like at MSG, I just love Big East basketball. So that's my favorite conference tournament of all of them to watch. I think it's wide open. You know, St. John's is the best team, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll win. UConn, I'm not sold on. You guys know I love Creighton. I root for Creighton, but not really sold on them. I'm not sold on Marquette whatsoever. So I think that if St. John's doesn't win, I think things could get crazy. So I actually like Villanova at 16 to 1. And I don't know if I'm betting this because I just hate myself. I love pain because Kyle Neptune is just so bad, but Villanova's actually been playing pretty well down the stretch. They've had some big wins in recent weeks, and Kyle Neptune, as much as I hate him and think he sucks, he is coaching for his job right now. Like, if he doesn't perform in this tournament, like, he's going to get fired. It's almost certain that he gets fired if he doesn't, you know, if they don't win this, he might get fired. Like, that might be the threshold. He might have to win the conference tournament to keep his job. So I'm going to take a shot on Villanova. Apologies for, I don't know if you guys can hear that siren, but anyways, 16-1 Villanova. Quarter, I'll probably go quarter unit on that to win 4. And yeah, Villanova will probably lose their first game. So, and I'll come on the stream the next day and say, I'm an idiot. Why did I bet Villanova? But I don't know. Coaching for your job in a tournament that I think is open, I'll take the 16-1 price tag. Oh, I'll leave these in the bet slip so you guys can see them. So far, St. Joe's 8-1, Villanova 16-1. Big Sky, again, another four team here. Don't care, not adding anything there. Just passing over that. Conference USA, I think this tournament's open. I'm not going to take anything here. If I were to take a team, it'd probably be Jacksonville State at plus 750. But very similar to like a Memphis or VCU. I don't really trust Liberty as a top favorite here. I think any team could win this. So I'd probably lean Jacksonville State, but I don't have enough conviction really to fire away on it. Ivy League, I don't bet on the Ivy League tournament really ever. I did one year and I'm pretty sure I lost. I just hate, I don't know. I pass for me. Pass on. If you have an Ivy League tournament winner, you can sell me it in the chat, but I'll pass. The MAAC, I think, is open here. Literally any of these teams could win. I have no idea. I'm going Iona plus 850. Betting on the Iona Gales, betting on our boy Tobin Anderson, who led Fairleigh Dickinson on their run, won as a 16 seed. This conference is crazy. These teams beat up each other all year. I think anyone could win this conference tournament, but Merrimack is pretty good. Even like Sacred Heart is solid. Like, I think probably from Sacred Heart down, and you can see like Vegas agrees because these are like a little outlandish here, but from Sacred Heart down, I think you could bet on any of these teams to win this tournament. I honestly have no clue who's going to win it, but Tobin Anderson is a good coach. I trust him to get his team ready in a tournament setting because he's done that before. So I'll take plus 850 on Tobin Anderson in the Iona Gales. So give me them. That's like a quarter unit probably. And I'm not parlaying these, just so you guys know. I'm just leaving them in the bet slip. So if you join the stream late, you can see which ones we're taking. But Iona plus 850 is another one I'm going to take. The MEAC, you could probably go anyway here too. Haven't looked into it a ton though. Mountain West is just insane. I have no idea what to do with the Mountain West. These teams, you want to talk about beating each other up? These teams beat each other up all year. I think New Mexico is the best team. Colorado State has been on fire though. So they're in the mix. I mean, SDSU is good. Boise's good. All these teams are similar level, I think. And I don't know. I'm not going to tell. It'd be too tilting, I think, to bet on this one. So pass for me. Southland, McNeese is going to win this, so no reason really to bet it. I don't even think you can parlay. Oh, you can parlay. I mean, if you want to parlay, I mean, it's a minus 650, so really no reason. But if you want to parlay McNeese with something, you can. They're going to win that tournament. SWAC, I like Bethune-Cookman. This one's another pretty open tournament, I would say. I've bet on them a couple times recently, so I'll take Bethune-Cookman at 7-1. And then I don't care about this. Grand Canyon, I'm fine fading. So if you want to take like Seattle or something, I think you could do that down there. But overall, probably a pass for me. So overall, did I skip the SEC? SEC is interesting. So if we look at the bracket, right? Oh, I skipped Big Ten too. We got to talk about that. I don't know why I skipped like the two biggest ones. All right, let me pull up the SEC bracket here, because I have a similar feeling on the SEC as I do the Big Ten, and I think the bracket is very, very important. So when looking at this, that is the Big 12, not the SEC. All right, so looking at the bracket here, Auburn is obviously the 1 seed. They don't play until Friday, right? So the teams that have double byes, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, and Alabama, the top 4 seeds. So looking kind of at the bracket, I would prefer, honestly. Okay, so Auburn is the 1 seed, Florida 2, Bama 3, Tennessee 4. I do think Tennessee is a firm 4 out of those top 4. So I would want to face them over Alabama or Florida, right? And then when looking at that, that gives you Texas, Vandy, and Texas A&M. If you guys know anything about me, we bet on Texas A&M last year in the actual big tournament, and they did win a couple games. They fell short against Houston, but they were right in that until the end. And they have a very similar team this year. They're terrible on offense, like absolutely terrible. They're 17th overall, and they're not okay. They're not that bad, but they're not good on offense. They're 17th overall on KenPom, despite being 44th in offensive rating. They're 7th overall in defensive rating, though, and they're very, very good at getting second chance points. They can't shoot whatsoever. They're 314th in the country in effective field goal percentage. That's bad. That's like bottom 50 overall in the entire country in effective field goal percentage, but they're number 1 in the entire country in offensive rebound percentage. So how they can still function and be a top 50 offense is they get second chance points and then convert them. So they just beat Auburn on March 4th, right? So they had a little losing stretch in the middle of February, but they have some big wins this year, right? I mean, they've beat Creighton. They beat Texas Tech on a neutral earlier this season. They beat Purdue on a neutral earlier this season. They beat Auburn. They have some big wins this year. They can play up to competition. And Auburn's weak point this year is giving up rebounds. And that's why I think if we got a matchup of Auburn versus Houston, it's why I would be interested in Houston. Because like I've said countless times, Houston is not a tall team, but they play way bigger than they seem because of how good they are at rebounding. So I think a team that's very, very good on the glass can give Auburn fits. And looking at this bracket, that's who Texas A&M would play Auburn in the semifinals, not Florida, not Alabama. So it's a tough road for Texas A&M because they would theoretically, if they get through their second round game, they would have to beat Tennessee, they'd have to beat Auburn, and then play in the championship. That's an absolute gauntlet run, right? But that's just how good the SEC is. I think they match up really well, though, against Auburn, and they just beat them. So that kind of, checks out. They played Tennessee pretty close. They lost by 7 on February 22nd. So I think they could play there in that game. And they're all the way down here. I mean, they're 23-1. I think they're 25-1 on DraftKings. So I like Texas A&M in the SEC. If you want to take a shot on Bama or Florida, I think you can do that as well. But I like Texas A&M at 23-1. If you can get through Tennessee, I think you can get through Auburn again, and then you have a 23-1 ticket in the championship. That's a lot to ask, but that's why they're 23-1. I honestly wish it was like 30-1, but I'm going to take a shot on Texas A&M. in the SEC. Personally, that's just a small shot, that 23-1, probably like a quarter unit. And then in the Big Ten, again, looking at the bracket, I would prefer not to play Michigan State. I would prefer to play Michigan. So Michigan, I kind of liked them earlier on in the season, but they have not been that good down the stretch, and they've played in a lot of close games, and they've had some pretty good close game luck. So looking overall at Michigan, they're down to 28th overall on KenPom. And looking at their recent games, they've lost 3 in a row coming into the conference tournament. But even looking at some of these wins dating back to January 27th, right? They beat Penn State by 4 at home. They beat Rutgers by 3. They beat Oregon by 4. They beat Indiana by 3. They beat Purdue by 2. They beat Ohio State by 3. So they had a 6-game winning streak and never won by more than 4 points in any of those games. That is like something that I don't necessarily trust, that close game luck. I don't buy into that. And then they lost to Michigan State by 3. They beat Nebraska by 3. They beat Rutgers by 2. So 2 more wins in the month of February by a combined, 5 points. And then lost to Illinois, lost to Maryland, lost to Michigan State to end the season. So I don't really like the form that we're looking at here for Michigan. And I would be completely fine, fading them here as a 3 seed. So I want someone from the bottom half of this bracket. Maryland is very good, and they're the 2 seed. So here's where my kind of head goes. Michigan State's on the top quadrant of this bracket. I'm avoiding that because I think Michigan State is nasty, especially with how they've been playing. So I would just pencil Michigan State in probably to the championship game. So that gives us this whole bottom here. Maryland, I like. We already have a Final Four ticket on Maryland. But if you look at the odds here, they're the second favorite at plus 370. There's really no value in that, so I'm not going to be taking that. So if we're not taking Maryland, that gives us all the other teams down here to make a run. There's 4 good options here, honestly. Purdue, Illinois, Ohio State, and Rutgers. I think those are all great options to go on a miracle run here, potentially upset Maryland or, upset Michigan. And make a run at the championship game. So any of those 4 teams, I think you can put small shots on Ohio State and Rutgers. These are desperate teams that are trying to get into Ohio State could get into the tournament with a couple wins in this. Rutgers would have to win the Big Ten tournament to get into the big dance, obviously. But I mean, Rutgers is all the way down here to 150-1. Ohio State 50-1. So these are teams that I think you could take small shots on and then pick one of Illinois or Purdue for a bigger shot. So I'm actually going to take 3 futures in the Big Ten. I don't really ever do that. I like to just pick one team and root for them, but I'm going to take 3 teams in the Big Ten. And that's because we're getting such big numbers on these 2. I actually think you can even get a bigger number than 50 on Ohio State. I think DraftKings at Ohio State at 70-1. So, and Rutgers was 200-1. So I'm going to take very, very small, 0.1 unit shots on Ohio State and Rutgers at 70 or 65, whatever they were on DraftKings, 200-1 on Rutgers. And then we need to pick between Illinois and Purdue. Who from Illinois or Purdue is more likely? That is the question. So Illinois just beat Purdue by 8. When they played that was literally just last Friday. I hate Illinois, man. You guys know I don't like them. Illinois is 18th overall on KenPom. Purdue is 14th. Purdue's 8th in offense, 53rd in defense. Illinois is 15th in offense, 30th in defense. So more balanced. If you're in the chat, what's your thoughts? Illinois or Purdue? They're the same number, but we're going to pick one of them to go along with our shots of these two. Man, that's tough. Let me see if I can find like just projections. Purdue, from what I'm seeing, Purdue's around a 14% chance. Illinois is 9, which checks out. I do think Purdue is better than Illinois. If I was just picking one, but I mean, Purdue has not really been in good form here. They went on a 4-game losing streak in February, and they've lost 5 of their last 7 coming into this. Meanwhile, Illinois is kind of on a I mean, they had a little losing stretch at the beginning of February, but they won 3 in a row. They beat Iowa, Michigan, and Purdue. That's 2 big wins over Michigan and Purdue down the stretch. The problem is like I can't watch Illinois play basketball, dude. I don't know if you guys have watched them. They're 317th in the country in 3-point percentage this year, but they just shoot so many threes. They're so bad, but they shoot so many. I don't understand it. So it's tilting to watch because going into the game how bad they are at shooting threes, and then they'll just keep shooting threes. It's so annoying. It's so hard for me to watch them. So I don't know. I might just like, and I kind of don't like Brad Underwood's head. I don't know. Like he's kind of just like annoying to me. Although Painter is also annoying. That's 2 annoying coaches. Man, that is a tough choice. I don't know. I'll update you guys later. I'm going to think about it throughout the day. I'm going to tweet all this out if you guys weren't able to join the stream. So, but these I'm locked in on. These futures here I have in the bet slip, and then we're going to take 3 shots at the Big Ten. If you guys have SiriusXM, I will be competing in some drafts going on this week. Tonight, we have a fantasy baseball best ball draft that I'll be in. Like I said, there'll be coverage on SiriusXM Fantasy Channel all week for these. Tonight is best ball baseball. And then tomorrow it's actually a sports betting draft. So it's like in-game prop bets. So that'll be going on tomorrow night. And then Friday morning, there's a futures draft. So you draft like futures bets for college basketball, WNBA, NBA, MLB, and it runs through the summer. So stay tuned for that. Overall, that does it. Like I said, I'll tweet out these picks later for anyone that was not able to join. I'm sure we'll have more NFL news to talk about tomorrow. We'll have more basketball to talk about tomorrow. Good luck with your bets, and I'll see everybody tomorrow at 11 a.m.